All right, everyone. Greg here again. We went through the history of anchor text and URL and how they've evolved the anchor text and URL optimization. Now I want to go into some things to consider and some general stuff that I noticed because it will help you get a better understanding even more of what's working now. And I'm going to start going into actually some live examples here, and then we'll get into total examples in the next video. Okay, so one thing you have to consider is, I talked about like percentages in the last video, kind of like I kind of gave guesses of what they were allowing. 4 years ago they were allowing about 90% for EMDs. Of course, those numbers aren't exact, but they're pretty close guesses to what they like for like a medium competition site of what they would allow. Okay, now here's something to consider: the length of the domain name and the amount of searches the keyword gets makes a difference to how much anchor text you can use with that keyword. Okay, so it makes a difference to how much optimization you can get away with. Let me give you an example here. So if you had an EMD, ways to lose weight for women over 40.com, okay, that's how many words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words. Well, 7 words and one number. And then money.com. These are two totally different sites because this money gets a ton of searches, probably gets like 1 million searches a month, something like that. Whereas this might get a few searches a month. Okay, and it's also very long. This opposed to this is it's very different. So the anchor text that you can get away with for these two sites is totally different. The reason for that is, well, first let's say we have each of these sites has 100 links. Okay, so 100 links, and each has 50% EMD keyword. Okay, so that means this site has 100 links, and 50 of those links say ways to lose weight for women over 40. All right, whereas, well, let's actually say like 30%. So 30 out of the 100 links say ways to lose weight for women over 40. For the money.com site, 30 of the 100 links say money. All right. Now, what's going to happen is this site right here is almost definitely going to receive a penalty. Why? Because the chances of 30 out of 100 people having that exact anchor text being this long is very, very slim, because not that many people search for that, and it's not a big keyword. So the chances of that happening are slim to none. And, Google considers this, and they would slap you. You would get penalized. Whereas if 30 out of your 100 keywords for this site were money, you might not get penalized for that, because money is such a huge keyword. The chances of that happening are much greater, because money is such a largely searched keyword that 30 out of 100 people saying just money, opposed to the exact phrase ways to lose weight for women over 40, is this happening is so much greater than the chances of this happening that you might not get penalized for this one, because it's such a huge keyword. So when one of these, this is the general type rules I'm talking about. This is one of those things you have to consider: is how big is the keyword, and the bigger the keyword, or the shorter like if it's a short domain name with a big keyword, or if it's a long domain name with a bunch of keywords, this is much more likely. This is much more likely to get hit with over optimization. This is much less likely to get hit. Okay, so for like EMDs, you have to consider that when you're doing your anchor text. How big is this keyword? How likely would it be being used this many times? And that's something that you have to consider. Okay, so it's very important. So not a lot of people know that, but it makes sense, and that's what I've seen with a lot of my sites. Is sites that I used to have like this, they got totally smashed because of the way that I did my anchor text. Whereas the ones I didn't have any sites that were like this, obviously, but sites that were closer to this with the same anchor text ratios as this site did not get hit, because it contains a keyword that's much bigger and is much more likely to get used, 10% of the time or 20% of the time. Even if you use this keyword like 10 out of 100 links, you're going to get smacked, because it's such a long keyword. The chances of 10 out of 100 people using that exact phrase are still slim to none. So consider how long your domain name is and how likely the keyword in your EMD is likely to get hit. And even though this is for EMDs, I want you to just understand that this is how Google works. This is kind of the way they look at things. How likely is it that someone will use this exact phrase 30 out of 100 links? Slim to none. We're going to slap them because that will probably never happen, naturally, and they're looking for natural. All right, so it's very important to understand. And that also carries over to inner URLs. Now, when the keyword is in the domain name, it's more likely to get hit with over optimization than it is for an inner URL, but the same rules go for an inner URL, just with not as strict over optimization penalties. Okay, so you can get away with a little more for an inner URL than you can if it's your actual domain name. If it's in your domain name, it's more strict. Okay, because the domain name is more powerful than the inner URL. So if you had let's say we had just to make sure you know what I'm talking about here, like gregsite.com again, and then we had slash ways to lose weight for women over 40. This is a more powerful site. It's more powerful to have your keywords in the domain name. I would never recommend having an EMD this long, by the way, or any domain name this long. Just there's no point in it. But the point is the keywords in the domain name is more powerful than the keywords in the inner URL. But at the same time, the keywords in the domain name get more strict over optimization rules than the inner URL. Okay, so this is more powerful, but you have to be more careful. Whereas this is a little less powerful, but you don't have to be as careful. You still have to be careful, but not as careful. Okay, so those are a couple rules. Let's keep moving on here. URL plus anchor equals your overall optimization. Okay, for the most part, it's like 90-95%. They consider title and how many times your keywords are in your content and all that stuff. But the main optimization factor is URL plus anchor text. Okay, and I'm going to give an example here. So for DelawareSEO.org, now this is an older site and I wouldn't do this anymore. There's a page called Delaware SEO Expert. Okay, and as we saw when I searched for this, Delaware SEO Expert is actually the second result because I have a link going here. Okay, let's go back here. Again, I would never actually repeat Delaware SEO in an inner URL once it's already in the domain name anymore. The reason that I got away with this is because there's only one link onto this page, and I believe the link was like experts as the anchor text. Okay, so since URL and anchor text equals optimization, there wasn't enough combination there for an over optimization penalty. Okay, so what I mean by that, the actual example for this site was something like, it was a much larger searched location SEO phrase. For example, let's say like Houston is a huge city, so let's say it was like HoustonSEO.org. All right, so if I had HoustonSEO.org and then Houston SEO Expert, in order to rank this page right here, I'm going to need at least 5 links, I would say, okay, for Houston SEO, because it's a much larger city, so it's a lot more competition. So I'm going to have to put in anchor text in there that's like, Houston SEO, Houston SEO Expert, SEO Expert in Houston, and the more links that I have coming in, the more anchor text with Houston SEO in it, it makes a greater combination of Houston SEO in the domain name, in the inner URL, plus in the anchor text, whereas I'm going to get hit. Okay, so there's a real site that I own that's more competitive, like Houston SEO. Let's actually change this to Houston, so you get a better idea. Okay, so we had a page on the HoustonSEO.org website. Again, that not a real website, but not our website, but the competition is pretty much exact to our real site. Okay, so we had a page called Houston Web Design. All right, and the links going to that page, I probably had 5 links going to the page or so, and it was like, Houston Web Design, Houston Website Design, Web Design in Houston, Houston TX Web Design, stuff like that. And there's about 5 links. So when Google looked at this, they combined, what's in the URL and then what's in the anchor text, and they had an overall score of that's over optimized, penalized, the site moved down. Okay, I saw this with my data, and what I did was I did a 301 redirect, and I just rename this page to just web design. So instead of repeating Houston again in the domain, which is already in the domain name, I took it out of the inner URL, just renamed it web design, and then when I did the redirect and they looked at it again, the overall score dropped in the optimization because Houston was no longer in here twice. That was really hurting my over optimization. Okay, whereas in this one I can get away with it because I only have one link, right? So they're combined. They can't really determine over optimization off one link because the chances of someone sending us a link with just expert, even if I did Delaware SEO expert, I probably would have got away with it because it's just one link. They can't really determine over optimization off that. Whereas in this example, I have Houston twice in the URL, and then I have Houston in every single anchor text. They're saying, okay, that's just too much. We're penalizing them. And I kind of saw this with my data. So what I did again, I 301 this page over to this page, and when they reevaluated it, since Houston's only in here once now, they're saying, okay, that's possible. This is not over optimized, and my rankings rose right back up. Okay, so what I'm trying to have you get out of this is that URL and anchor text combine for your overall optimization score. Okay, and that's very important to understand. So when you have a site when you have your keywords in your domain name, try not to repeat them in the inner URLs. Okay, there's certain circumstances where you can, and let's do an example here. So if I have like themoneymasters.com or something like that, okay, and then I want to do a page on like how to make money online. This is okay to we had the money in the domain name, but it's okay to repeat it in here because again, it's such a big keyword and it just makes sense to repeat it. Now you could use like cash here, but I don't think that sounds right, and I think money is more natural. But it's okay to repeat this one because it's such a big keyword and it's only one of the keywords you're repeating, okay? Whereas if you're doing like, let's say we got gold, or let's see, let's say like if you had like how to make money online.com, and then you want to do a page like on like how to make money with blogging, you just want to name this blogging. Okay, what you do not want to do is how to make money online.com / how to make money online with blogging. That is unnecessary to do because people already know your site is about how to make money online. Okay, so all you got to really do is, so your site's already about making money online, so you just do each topic here. All right, you do not want to repeat how to make money online in this example because this is such a long kind of topic. Repeating that twice is really going to hurt you. Now, so here's another good kind of demonstration as to how anchor text and URL optimization works, like the combination of the two. If you do it this way, you can use your keywords in your anchor text a whole lot more than you could if you did this way. Okay, this way won't like get you penalized right away, but what it does is it sets you up for failure because it allows you very little wiggle room to use how to make money online in your anchor text. Okay, and hopefully that kicks in because anchor text is very powerful for increasing your ranks, as all of us know. So if we can't have how to make money online in our anchor text that much, it's going to be very hard for us to rank. URLs of course help us rank and it helps identify what it's about, but the anchor text is like the kind of like the main push in the end. So if we use this version, then we have a lot more wiggle room to use how to make money online in our anchor text because we don't have it twice in our URL. Where if we have it twice here, especially a keyword this long, we have very, very little wiggle room. Okay, so again, these are kind of some general things that I wanted to discuss. How big your keyword is as your EMD or your inner page matters to how much anchor text you can get away with. And just kind of think about that when you're doing your anchor text and figuring which anchors you're going to use. I'm going to go over specific anchor text and examples in the next video, so you'll get a better idea. But just know that how long the keyword is matters, and how many people search for it matters as to what percentage you can get away with. Okay. The next thing is I would not repeat most keywords on the inner URL. So even though this site's ranking, remember that it's ranking because there's only one link onto that page with the keyword. I think I did like expert or something like that. Whereas if this site was more competitive, like the Houston SEO one, and then I did Houston SEO expert, and then I would need more links to do that because it's more competitive, and I would have to have Houston SEO in it to help identify it more, and I would end up getting over optimization. Okay, so as in this example here, just repeat the topic because people already know this site's about Houston. It's Houston SEO, so it's going to be all about Houston SEO. If we have a page on web design, just name it web design. Do not repeat Houston in there again, because that's going to give you very little wiggle room for what you can use as far as keywords in your anchor text. All right. And then, of course, you can repeat keywords on the inner URL, but just be careful how you do it. In this example, money is such a big keyword, and that it's fine to do here because we're not really repeating any of these other words here, and money's such a big keyword, and this is also long, that it's okay to use it again. So there is certain cases like that where it's okay to repeat keywords, but for the most part, be very careful of it. Okay, this example here, when you have a keyword like this long as your domain name, like an EMD, I would never repeat something that long on the inner URL. And if you're doing about how to make money online blogging, just /blogging. Because again, very little wiggle room here compared to here as far as anchor text. And you'll start seeing exactly how I do my anchor text in the next video, and this will start making even more sense. So these videos are kind of like a progression, a basic history. And then in this video, I'm giving you general rules to follow and making sure you understand that URL plus anchor text equals your optimization score. All right, that's very important. Again, URL plus anchor text equals your optimization score. I should put score here. Very, very important to understand. All right. So again, in the next video, we will start talking about real examples, real sites, and examples based off real sites. I'll just change the site name, and that will give you a very good understanding of everything, and this will all start coming together if it's not already. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.